Alright, so we're back in the world of Tainted Grail, and today guys, I'm going to be showing you my Overpowered Elementalist build for the early game. This build is arguably the strongest build that you can use early on, as it gives you some incredible AoE damage, as well as offering one of the best synergies of gear available in the early game. This build utilizes a combination of two powerful spells, one Scorching Blades, a very high mana cost but very high damage dealing spell that absolutely obliterates any and everything that comes in contact with it. This in addition to Thunder Lash, which does a really solid amount of burst damage for very low mana cost, and when charged, chains off of multiple enemies, giving you very solid chain AoE, makes for probably the strongest mage build you can get early on in Tainted Grail. If you're looking for a powerful mage build early on that can take down even the strongest enemies, this is going to be the perfect build for you. Let me show you how to make it. Alright, so now that you guys have a better idea of how the build works, let's go over the individual parts, where to find it, and just how to put the build all together. So first things first, we're going to be going over our weapon loadout. So in Tainted Grail, you can have 3 different separate loadouts. We're just going to show you what we use right now. So first things first is going to be Thunder Lash as well as Scorching Blaze. Now as I said in the intro, Thunder Lash is going to be a very light mana cost of spell, it's only 14, and this is going to do medium lightning shock damage to enemies, and then when you charge it up, it's going to do pretty big damage and it's going to jump to multiple enemies. And I tend to use Thunder Lash in the dungeons a little bit more because there's usually multiple enemies and it's easier to chain a lot of the enemies who are kind of close by, so Thunder Lash is going to be a really great option. The other option that we're going to be using is Scorching Blaze, and this is going to be a very high mana cost, which is more than justified, by the way. It is a very justified mana cost, but it does a ton of damage in an AoE, and whenever you charge it, this projectile will do even more damage while also homing on enemies. And this is going to be your bread and butter when you're kind of moving around in the world, seeing that it is a projectile based ability compared to the ray base ability that Thunder Lash is. Now fortunately, both of these items can be found very early on, and they're in the same exact spot, so this is going to be really easy to pick up. So as you can see on the screen now, this is the starter town that you're going to make your way to, and all the way here to the north, you're going to come over here to the Abandoned Stronghold. Now within this Abandoned Stronghold, the moment you enter into the fort, is going to be packed with a lot of enemies, so it can be relatively tough. You're going to save a lot here, but on the door leading into the actual stronghold, there will be a little note on it, and this will contain the Thunder Lash ability, so make sure you go ahead and pick that up. You're probably not seeing it on screen now, but it's within this facility, should be fairly easy. Now as you make your way up, there's going to be multiple chests as well as a bounty target here that you need to kill. You don't need to kill the bounty target to get this, but when you look around, you'll notice this chest here that you need to lockpick. And whenever you lockpick it, you will get the Scorch here that's going to be the very powerful spell. Now, in addition to this setup, you're going to be using the Killing Stroke. What the Killing Stroke is this is a cube, and the way cubes work is they typically require you to meet a certain condition, and then once you meet that condition, you can activate the cube to get the benefit for those who are a little bit newer to the game. The Killing Stroke specifically increases the damage of your next attack by 100%, and all you need to do is get 5 kills. Now the way I typically like to use this is I usually store this whenever I have the ability to kill 5 enemies, and I'll save it for specifically some of the tougher enemies. And even when you swap to setups like this one where I have Scorching Blaze and Lightning Lash here, you can actually still keep the charges, so it's a pretty good way to hold on to charges for those big moments. Now the fortunate thing about the Killing Stroke is it actually comes with a full armor set that's going to be the alternative armor set to what we have here. So we made a quick swap to the Battlemage set just so you guys can have a better idea of what to expect from it. But as you can see here, the head will give you some armor, some magic, some max mana, as well as some spell power. Chest will give you some mana regen as well as some magical crit. The hands will give you increased base mana, and then the legs are going to give you increased mana and then increased spell power by 5. And then the boots are going to give you increased max mana with some armor. This is going to be a more heavier armor mage set than the other one that you saw me using a second ago, which I'm still going to show you where to find it, but this armor set as well as this weapon are going to be in the same location. Now, not far from where we just left to get the spells, coming up here to the place called the Tomb of the Good Druid is where you're going to find both of these items. One is going to be hidden behind a gate filled with enemies that are corrupted with the red fever or whatever it's called, so you need to make sure to kill them and then unlock the chest. And then making your way up to the top, there's going to be like a hidden area at the top that has another chest that you're going to unlock. And once again, you'll see this armor within it. Now alternatively, if you're looking for more raw damage, then what you're going to look for is this Slinger set. I also think it's the coolest looking set in the game in my opinion so far. And this set is pretty good. It's going to give you mana regen. It's going to give you increased spell power by a pretty large margin. The hands are also going to give you more increased spell power. The legs are going to give you a pretty chunky amount of max mana, and then the feet are going to give you more spell power. As you can probably tell, this is a very power heavy build. It's going to give you insane amounts of damage. So if you want the Battlemage set, that's going to be a little bit more defensive. If you want more damage, you're going to get the Slinger set. Once again, coming from the fort that you went to get both of those spells, you're going to make your way over here to where you see my marker now. And it's going to be kind of here in a little camp. There's going to be 3 relatively strong enemies. It's going to depend on where you are in the game. But they're going to be relatively strong, and you need to finish them off. And then in this chest, there's going to be this armor set. Now, the rings aren't that important for in the grand scheme of things. If you saw my last video where I went over where to find some of the early game rings or how to have the perfect start, I'll have probably both of these rings I think in the video, but these are not that important in the grand scheme of things. Just kind of use whatever you want for your rings, whatever you have. And then for our cloak, we're going to be using the Priestess Cape, and this is going to regenerate 1% of your mana, of your max mana every second, and this is going to really help you sustain. Now, where can you find this item? Once again, coming from the fort, you're going to make your way up here to the All Mother Shrine, not too far from the Tomb of the Good Druid actually, and you'll find a body of a priestess here that has this cape available. Now you can take her full armor set. I don't think it's like that valuable, but if you want to, you can. But there should be a few enemies here, so be mindful of that, and then pick up the cape, and you're pretty much good to go with this set. In terms of charms, I'm using a Arcane Weaver Prism 1. I have no clue where I got it from, if I'm being completely honest, but I don't think it's that important to the build. For the most part, your mana sustain is pretty good, but use whatever you want here. There's like multiple things you can use: crit, spell damage, things like that works really well. Going over our individual attributes, first things first, you're going to only have 12 points give or take at this point, so you're not going to have a ton. But let's go over the individual pieces. So under the spirituality tree, you're going to come over here to the general buff section and pick up Mana Battery. This is going to give you max mana, and the reason why we want max mana is, one, obviously we want to cast spells as much as humanly possible, but the other thing is it actually synergizes really well with Invigorating Energy. Invigorating Energy is going to give you 20% of your max mana as HP, and this is going to be a really great defensive option, so you can scale your HP without having to invest points into giving yourself strength or even having to have HP on your gear. This is just going to be a really good defensive synergy that's going to give you offensive capability, so it's really great synergies, these two. The other one we're going to recommend is Tranquility. Mana regeneration is double outside of combat. If you're where I'm at currently in the game, you probably won't need this as heavy, but early on it's really good because you're going to need a lot of extra mana, and it just keeps you in the fight really well. Under the combat tree, you're just going to use the rest points to go to Arcane Teachings and just get as much spell power as humanly possible, and you should just be generally good to go from there. For our attributes, we're investing nothing but spirituality. The reason is simple: you need to be level 12 in order to use the spells, and mana scales your HP. Spell power is going to give you more damage, and mana regen is going to keep you in the fight longer, and so just leveling this actually gives you a lot of offense and defense, so it's a really good setup. With that said, guys, that's pretty much it for this build. This is one of the best builds I played early on in the entire game. You just do so much damage, and to be quite frank, you don't really need to even use any form of healing. You just do so much damage that you overwhelm all the enemies. With that said, guys, that's going to be it for this one. Make sure you leave me a like as well as subscribe for more Tainted Grail content. I'm going to be pumping out a lot of guides, tips, and tricks that's going to be helpful for this game because it is a lot going on here. Leave me some comments on what you'd like to see in the future or future videos, whatever the case is. Leave me some comments, and just like that, guys, I'll see you in the next video very soon.